You don't know Mycoplasma laboratorium, and you won't know new bugs, new organisms that have been created out of synthetic biology because they have no pedigree. They come from nowhere. This is novel genetic material that you have put together. You don't know how it will interact with the environment. You don't know what damage it can do or not do to human health. You have no idea how to control this thing should it run away. So if you have biowarfare with anthrax, you know what to do with it. But should you have biowarfare or an accidental release with an organism like that, you would be delivered. You're completely at sea as to how to control this organism. And as against physics and chemistry, the brave new world of biology replicates. Bugs have babies, humans have babies, genes have babies. It replicates. If you put a transformer out here or a glass out there, it will sit there for the next 3,000 years. It will not have babies. If you put a cell culture out there, it will proliferate, spill out of that culture, and go places. Therefore, when you're tinkering with biology, then the hubris of man must step back a bit. It's been famously said that the 21st century will be the century of biology. It will. All the breakthroughs are going to happen in this field. This is the field out of which you're going to get transformative technologies. Transformative because they will transform the way we live, the way we eat our food, the way our drugs are delivered to us, the way our environment will be transformative. So what do we do when we confront this? Do we step back and say no science, no technology? Of course not. How can that be anyone's thesis? But I think that after we finish destroying the planet to the extent that we have learned lessons. And I think we need to make a distinction between science and its application in the form of technology. The difference is human greed. So today as we look and see the potential of science and what it has on offer, let us step back with a little modesty. Let us agree that it is sufficient to optimize profits, not necessarily to maximize them. Nature is a very, very tolerant and benign presence. You lean on her, you hurt her a bit, she takes it. You cut down trees, if you don't bug her too much, trees will come back. Biodiversity is not going to get slaughtered if you just lean on nature a bit. But if you push her, if you knock off the entire forest, if you release uncontrolled bugs, if you destroy the climate, if you ravage the biodiversity, then nature will hit back. And we need to remember that. We need to remember, do I have time?
I think.
Yeah. That nature will give you leeway, but she will hit back. So what are the lessons for the application of science? We should certainly forge ahead, but there are 3 words I'd like to leave you with. Ethics, regulation, and precaution. There's a whole field of bioethics that is developing, not as fast as it should, but it's there. And it is scientists who have laid certain restraints on themselves. When genetic engineering started, the Asilomar conference in 75, when the scientists got together and said, this technology can go places we don't want it to go, so we must exercise control. We have control and bans and self-imposed bans on human cloning, on human germline therapy, on human embryonic stem cell. So it's not as though scientists don't think about it. But when science leaves the laboratory from the pursuit of truth and purity and goes into the field of technology and application, other factors come into play. You've already heard of maverick scientists trying to clone the human embryo and then even implant it. You've heard of people trying to fool around with germline therapy in human beings, which is extremely dangerous. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. So as we confront the brave new world of science, ladies and gentlemen, my thesis is we look at ethics, we look at regulation, and we look at the precautionary principle. The precautionary principle is now becoming a very important cornerstone of all negotiations and transactions in the world of science. If you are not sufficiently informed, if you are uncertain, step back and be cautious. And don't rush in where fools fear to tread. So I think the way ahead is progress, but with intelligence, with maturity, and with responsibility. Working with the approach that we hold this earth only in custody for our children. In legal terms, this has been defined in many countries as intergenerational equity. But holding the earth to pass it on to our children in a reasonably intact form is the thesis that I submit should guide the pursuit of science and technology.